Hi, and welcome to the No Pressure Podcast. Joining me today, as ever, is Emma.
Hey!
And you got me, Robin, multimedia developer, graphics designer.
Oh, yeah.
Don't really need to say that by now.
Yeah.
Going to be talking about a few different things today. Our creative routine, I thought would be a good thing to dive into.
Yeah.
We've also got a bit of a quiz for you at the end, slightly different to our usual quick fire questions. I've come up with something a bit new.
I don't know how to read your face right now. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but we'll see.
Wow, you don't have to worry too much.
Okay.
It'll be fun.
Okay.
Don't worry, it'll be fun. How's your week been?
Do you know what? It's been like such a hectic week this week. I can't believe it's Friday already. I feel like it's just gone like that. I've done so much, like just in like everything, work obviously, but also in my own life. Yeah, no, it's been really good. So like, I've done a bit of gardening here and there, which, as you know, do you know what? I actually thought it was going to be relaxing because we have like a bit of an ivy problem where I live, and it's a bit of a nightmare. So I try to just keep on top of it quite regularly, but I think I just got hit in the face with like a load of pollen, and I've got like the worst hay fever ever. And I thought for some reason that I would be able to get away with it without taking an allergy tablet, but no. By the way, for the viewers out there, if you have hay fever, it's probably a good idea to take an allergy tablet if you're going to do gardening, because the day after that,
or don't get a face full of pollen,
or don't. Yeah, that's actually probably just don't do that in the first place. And I was just dying. I was just like my nose was just like a river, and it was really nice imagery for you there. But yeah,
charming.
I know, it's really nice. But yeah, how's your week been?
For work, I've been just tidying up projects. Finally got access to some new software that we've been waiting for ages. So it's nice having a play today.
Yeah.
Just before this.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Anything else going on?
Actually, I did forget to mention work. I just kind of went straight to how I suffered so much.
Yeah.
Well, it's going really good, actually. I've been doing like workbooks, working on a bit of InDesign, and I've kind of been creating my own document, and it's actually really fun because I'm getting stuff from scratch. I'm sorting out all the styling, which I actually quite enjoy, and I'm doing all the kind of like graphics. Oh my gosh, it's so vague. I'm doing all the the pretty bits, like the little illustrative bits in Illustrator, and just I really enjoy project starts like that because just start from fresh, and get everything sorted out. So I've been really enjoying that, and I've also quite enjoyed instead of jumping straight into it, I've had an opportunity to kind of look around at different people's document setups and just like for inspiration and visual guides and things. I think that's been really, really helpful, because I feel like if you just jump straight into it, it kind of just it's just a bit stressful. And I've also had time to just sketch and make little wireframes just down on paper, and I just feel like it's honestly made such a difference.
Well, you've got to dictate the piece rather than having to pick something up and work out what's going on.
Yeah.
You'd have been proud of me this week. I got my graphics design on.
How'd it go?
Well, all I really had to do was source imagery.
Oh, still counts.
Make some flip cards and hero images and things like that.
Yeah.
But I did it.
Yeah, go you.
It's with the client, so if they come back and say they're not very good,
it's going to be my fault. Yeah.
I'm not a graphics designer. If they love them, and they're not even questioned, I'll be like, see, I am a graphics designer.
Yeah, you'll be like, I did that. Actually, no, if they do come back and they love it, can I say I did? Please.
I mean, saying that, I did set up all the themes and stuff in Evolve, so I have kind of
done that anyway.
My way around a few things.
Yeah, for the projects.
So you were talking about how you like to start the document on your InDesign, you set everything up.
Yeah.
So almost it's your creative workflow. You're able to put your stamp on it.
Yeah.
Kind of from the get-go.
Yeah.
So our creative routine. I thought that would be a good topic of conversation.
Oh, that was such a nice little segue.
I know. I'm learning.
I'm well impressed.
It's a little section I like to call the RTS Group's creative routines. from a graphics designer or a media developer. Shared to you.
Do you reckon that title's long enough?
I could probably make it longer.
Yeah. Okay, we'll work on that.
Your creative routine.
Oh my gosh.
Open question.
Yeah.
So we'll break it down.
Yeah, please.
Do you have any morning rituals?
So I do now. I feel like it does change quite a lot. Not being someone who's not really a morning person, I think the main thing in the morning is to get myself to wake up. That's the main focus.
It's a good start.
It's just being like fully aware. And I mean, we've been trying to go to the gym. We haven't been so good at it recently, just because we've both been busy. Don't look at me like that. It's so,
I'm gonna judge.
So judgmental. This is meant to be a pressure space.
Yeah.
Looks from Robin.
If I don't zoom in on me, that never happens.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, forgot about that. Oops. Anyway, so we haven't been going to the gym much, but we're going to try and get back into it next week. We kind of redone our schedule for that because it just wasn't working. I don't think either of us are super good at getting up in the morning, especially 5 a.m. It's quite early.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite late for you, isn't it?
I'd have slept in for an hour.
I know, yeah, it's like a lion. For me, it's not. So yeah, we've been trying to just fit that a little bit better around our schedule because we're both quite busy. Yeah. Anyway, getting back to the morning routine. So pretending that we go to the gym at 5 a.m. We usually get back for 6:30ish, and then I feel like, generally speaking, I make myself an iced coffee. Well, we've got a new coffee machine. I really wanted to put this into the podcast.
I was waiting until the posh coffee machine came up.
It's so exciting. It's literally like the best thing ever. And the like embarrassing part of it is that I told my partner not to get it because I was like, it's too expensive, but we don't need it. I don't really drink coffee at home, like, because we just have instant or the cafetiere thing. So I was like, we don't need it. Like, when we don't really drink coffee that much. Anyway, £150 later, we have this new like shiny little sparkly baby, which I am slightly obsessed with. And I hate to say it, but he's right. Just this one time, and it honestly, having a nice coffee in the mornings, because I'm a bit of a cold drink person. Well, actually, no, I'm not. That's a lie. I feel like in the morning I'm a cold drink person. Yeah. And I feel like it just wakes me up, and I like to have my syrups. And I just feel like it has really helped because just kind of get me into the flow of like let's start the day, and it's just been really great. And then after that, it kind of depends how early I get into the office, to be fair. What I used to do when I was at uni, don't do this, but I used to get up like 10 minutes before my lectures and run, basically. And honestly, I would just feel a bit rubbish because I was half asleep still. So I've completely done a cheeky little 180 on that, and I've kind of gone the opposite, which is really interesting. I don't know how that happened, but clearly I grew up.
See, I had to take the train to uni, so I couldn't do that. And again, because of the way peak time and off-peak time worked, I would catch a train earlier than I needed to when it was cheaper. Poor student. And I would get in plenty of time. I would be first one in all the time. Yeah. So it had advantages, but that's something I've carried on. Yeah. Getting up quite early and.
Yeah. I think I just stopped it because I just felt gross. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to feel like this anymore. How do I stop that? I think also, I'm going to be honest, I think it was a bit of your routine.
Go on, I'm getting blamed.
No, it's a good thing, I promise.
Oh, I'm improving people.
No, maybe later. But honestly, it must have had some impact because I started going to the gym in the morning, although it's not as consistent as you go. But, still try to. And yeah, I was really impressed by your morning routine. I was like, this sounds quite healthy. I mean, it's flipping hard, but you
get used to it.
Do you?
Do you think our desks play a part in that? So when I get in, I kind of set up my desk, put my laptop down, plug everything in. Yeah. Your desk is way cleaner than mine. Mine has an absolute mess of wires. It's not a mess of like gross,
Just like dirty
stuff.
socks everywhere.
It's just a mess of like wires and cables and random
just like
bits.
plasters, you know, just
No, there's no plasters. There is my Pokemon mouse kind of desk pad thing.
Your keyboard pad.
My docking station, there's cables everywhere spooling onto your desk. But I think that's a reflection of me in that my workspaces could be considered quite chaotic. The irony being I sort everything into folders on my laptop. Yeah. But when I'm working, it's not always the most orderly, but I know where everything is. And once I'm done, I organise.
Yeah.
And I feel, is that a reflection of me? My kind of crazy, kooky personality space with all my ducks and shrunk.
Are you like that at home though?
I can be.
So you're a mixture.
I can be a bit
unpredictable,
cluttered if I'm not. If I'm left to my own devices. If I know I have to clean because my partner's getting home after a week. Yeah. Everything's nice and organised and put away.
Yeah. But if it's just you naturally.
Yeah. Though I will know where everything is.
That's interesting. That's actually like my partner. He's the same. Whereas I'm kind of, it has to be. But again, I didn't used to be like this. So there must have been somewhere in my mid-20s where I just clicked and like a button flicked or something. Because now I'm the opposite. Now I'm just like got to be clean and tight, like my desk. Although saying that, I always have coffee mugs. I don't know if you've seen it, or tea mugs.
Yeah, but.
Or food wrappers on my desk.
Yeah, exactly. You having a go at me? I don't have any of that.
Yeah, that's true actually.
I've got like rubber ducks and
I know you have all the stuff that people should have, and I just have food wrappers.
Cables.
Yeah. But I don't know. I quite like a bit of structure because it looks, for me personally, I feel like it looks quite appealing. I like to have it quite empty because otherwise I feel like I just get distracted.
So I'm guessing that's a bit of a kind of reflection on your work as well. So your work's nice, pristine and orderly. Mine's just a mess.
It's just everywhere. No, I don't know. I don't know about my desk because I think maybe also why there's not much on my desk apart from my laptop and a notebook and maybe a mug or two is because I'm not always a desk person.
Yeah. See, I was gonna.
Sorry, is that your next question?
No, it's actually slightly further on. Oh. But it's to do with kind of creative block, I suppose. When you have got that space when, you just can't get something done, or you're struggling, or you're thinking about what you need to do, and you have a hurdle. I notice you move from your desk to either a quiet zone or you'll go work somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll stand up. Is that something you've always done?
Oh, honestly, yeah, this is the one thing about me that hasn't changed, is that I've always been super inconsistent with where I work. So like I remember when I was in high school, American, secondary school, I used to work on the floor most of the time, or I'd work on my bed, or I'd work on the sofa. But I, for some reason,
had your bed at secondary school?
No, in my bedroom at secondary school. Just stayed over.
Dedicated.
I know. But I was never really a desk person. I don't know why though. I think I kind of felt I was a bit flamboyant, I'm going to be honest with you, when I was like 15, 16, 17. And I was very much like one of those people who, I didn't like restrictions, and I felt like the desk kind of restricted me a little bit. So if I could be on the floor, I could just spread out, and I could, as you can probably tell on the sofa, I don't stay within the confines.
I know, you were having a lie down in front of the camera.
I was a minute ago, yeah, you're right.
I've just cut that bit.
But no, I do like a desk, but I think sometimes it's good to move around. I can't sit in the same place and constantly be creative. I need to do other things. I need to have a change of environment. I don't know if you're the same.
I'm not the same.
Really?
I'm very much desk. I think it's partly because I've got so many like monitors, and I find touchpads annoying.
Oh, okay,
especially for precision. My laptop, I don't really like the keyboard. It's like flat, and I find it's too far away. Yeah. So I like sitting at a desk. I find it gets me in a zone where I'm not distracted.
That's really interesting.
Maybe it stems from I normally had desktop computers. I didn't have laptops. Yeah. So I had to stay where the computer was. So all through school, all through college or
Always a
through uni,
desktop.
I always had a desktop.
No way.
Oh, I built them from a little nerdy Robin. And it just meant, I was always sat at the desk.
Yeah.
I will do things to kind of break maybe a mental block. I'll change wallpapers, even that might sound dumb, but just a change of colour. I might change the theme of my computer.
I thought you meant like the wall.
Yeah,
I was like, sorry.
I'm going to key this to a different colour now. I'll also change what I'm listening to, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But do you find where you're working changes your work?
I think a few weekends ago, it was like really sunny, and I just decided to take the opportunity to just put a beanbag outside in my garden because it was just so nice and I really wanted to get a tan and just do some Photoshop. I mean, yes, I couldn't see the screen, but I still create. Yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, but it felt so good and I was really in my element, and I just really, I don't know why, but I just really like mixing up where I'm working. I just think it just frees me a little bit. I think if I'm constantly in the same space, I just get a bit stuck.
What was weird is when you couldn't see the screen. That was some of your best work.
Thank you. So funny.
Getting back to our kind of, I guess, routines.
Yeah.
When you are given a project, what's your kind of pre-habits, like pre-project habits? For me, I like to, if it's a big thing, I'll try and break it down into small goals, especially if it's something complex. Say I'm doing game development, I'll try and identify what would be my core loop. So the one function that's going to happen and expand upon that. For example, the Honda card game I had to do a while back, I knew what it needed to do at its very core. When you had a deck of cards, you clicked a button and it gave you 5 of those cards. So I broke it down into each of these cards is essentially a number, and you're taking 5 numbers out of a chunk of numbers. And that's how what appeared to be quite a big, daunting project was broken down into one pretty small function. And then I just had to keep building all the little bits on beyond that. So when you're given, I don't know, a big graphic task or video task, do you break it down?
I don't think so. Because for me, if I did that, I feel like maybe I'd lose something.
Yeah.
I don't generally. I tend to just figure out what it actually is. So, you know, for example, a workbook or I don't know, an illustration or something. And then more often than not, I will just look for inspiration. Yeah. That is my general go-to. I don't think my brain kind of works in that similar logical way. I think because I'm not saying you're not, but because I'm quite an open thinker, I like to think of the bigger picture before I start to narrow it. I don't really narrow it down, but I like to think of the bigger picture, and I think that helps me. But if I start chunking it, I feel like that would just confuse me.
You mentioned you look up inspiration.
I do.
See, that's great, because in my notes, that's the next section.
Excellent.
Inspiration, if you had, who's inspired you? What is their inspiration? What lessons have you learned?
So, do you mean like now, or just when I was younger?
Any.
Or how?
Any that have affected your routine, maybe changed your perspective on things? I can give an example if that helps.
Yeah, go for it.
My degree was kind of a split degree in that I was interactive multimedia, which is very computer heavy, and graphics design, which didn't always have to be computer heavy. And my graphics lecturer used to encourage us to, you know, do like paper stamps and sketches and things. Don't even touch a computer until you've kind of formulated an idea.
Oh, cool.
And that's something I took away and have used. So if I need inspiration, I'll move away from the screen, which I think almost kind of confines me to a certain way of thinking. And I feel a bit more free to just, if I've got a pencil, I can sketch up a UI design or whatever, a layout in 2 seconds. And I'm not really thinking about it. And I think that's part of my routine, is that I like to draw and
where you get your inspiration from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to grow. I'm very much a scribbler. So I think it's really good actually to be able to scribble your thoughts down, or just making wireframes and stuff. Before I made these workbooks, I did a lot of like scribbling in my notepad, but I even did that, you know, before my degrees. I did loads of scribbling, and I just felt like I had so many ideas, and I was like, how do I get these down onto paper? And I just think it's good not to be too precious about it. I feel like that is so confining. Just do it, get it out there, because you know it could look rubbish, but you never know what you're going to get out of it, and it could be really awesome. So
what about any I'd say
inspiration?
famous people, a graphics designer, an artist, anything like that? I won't know who they are probably, but
I can explain. So many. I can like start off from when I first kind of got into the world of like being creative. I mean, I was always like a very creative person. I think I had no choice. I was just born like that. But I think for such a long time, because I think especially at school, academia is always praised as being much higher, and you're intelligent if you're academic, whereas if you're creative, especially when I was at school, I can't speak for all schools, but when I was at school, this is kind of what I felt. I felt like because I was creative, I wasn't as intelligent, and I wasn't.
I get it. Which
is so wrong and so sad. I think for the people who are creative like myself, it was really tough because I can be academic, but I'm not naturally the most academic. I don't think I have super big interests in academia, which is not helpful. But I was always madly creative, and I was always like, you know, writing stories. And even though I couldn't spell, I was always writing stories. I was always coming up with like play productions with my cousins and family. I was always drawing. I was always on Paint, you know, that little program that I love so much.
Play productions?
Yeah.
You know you're going to have to write and act one of these for the office now.
Next time. Yeah, stay tuned.
It's going to happen.
And I was just constantly creating things, but I always thought I wasn't intelligent because it wasn't what like school or people in general deemed as intelligence. So I think for a very, very long time, I just thought, you know, I'm just, you know, not gifted like that or whatever. And it was only when, and this is why I love this art. I know I bang on about this artist. I know you know who I'm going to say, but it's because they had such a massive impact on me when I was like 16 years old. When I was, you know, 16 years old as anyone, it's quite a tough age, I think.
Yeah, you're kind of finding yourself.
You really are, and there's so much to. Oh my gosh, you got to think about school. You got to trying to work out who you are, and it's just so much pressure. So, and I picked very academic A-levels because I was like, you know, got to be smart or whatever, got to be academic because that's what people value. And I quickly realized that actually that wasn't me, and it's okay to not be academic, it's okay to be creative, and it's a really amazing thing. And then I started art, and I found out about this artist, Tracy Emin, which is really like creative and wacky and a bit out of the box, to say the least. And I remember seeing her work. The one piece that really amazed me was the bed, like my bed, sorry. And I was just there like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this before. Even though I've seen a bed every single day, but I just understood it, and I was like, this must be my people, because I just understood it. I mean, how flipping original putting a bed in an art gallery. Pretty original, I reckon.
Good excuse to have a nap.
Yeah.
Speaking of naps.
Yeah, my favourite topic.
Dealing with creative block, we touched on it briefly. How do you combat it beyond changing environment? For me, when we used to work at the old office, a lot of the time, if I was struggling with something in the morning, I would go for a walk. I would go down to the garden centre down the road.
Yeah.
So there used to be a garden centre down the road.
With little tortoises.
Just
focus on something else.
Change my environment as much as I could, because it was quite quiet. There's a lot of greenery. It's just a whole different thing. And I just think. And it would kind of be like, hey, you struggled in the morning. Ignore the morning.
Come back.
We got it in the afternoon.
So I don't know if everyone feels like this, but for me, creative block's a bit of a warning sign. Or
you're just struggling to process the task, or perhaps something isn't clear in your mind, or
so I think with creative block is that there is this thing where you kind of, again, it's a bit of mentality. I feel like you start to feel bad about yourself. And that also extends that block in your mind. You kind of think to yourself, oh, like, clearly I'm not good enough if I'm experiencing this. And so I think it's really good to look for inspiration elsewhere. and also looking at other people who also experience similar things and thinking like, you know, how did they get past this? But I feel like with movies especially, it just took me out of that negative mindset and it just distracted me enough.
Finally, in this little section, it's not the quiz yet.
Oh.
I know you're excited. Let's get it. If you got any recommendations, you've talked about Dribble.
That's like a big one for me.
If you got any like design blogs, gram accounts, just gonna let that linger.
My eyes are watering. So I don't read any blogs. I used to when I was a little bit younger.
Blogs are kind of old these days, aren't they?
But you know, I used to have a blog. Which
so
I don't tell people about. Did you? What is it?
I can't
Is
remember.
it Robin Does Blogs?
I used to have
Blogs.
Tumblr.
Oh, no way. Oh, I did it. I never had Tumblr. But yeah, and I kept it up for a little bit, and then I just kind of decided I preferred blogs instead. So that's what I did. Sorry, what was the question? I completely forgot.
Just any recommendations for people out there?
So
who want to get into the mindset of Emma?
I don't know, because I feel like everyone's so different. Everyone has their preferences.
Yeah.
I feel like my preferences might be weird to most people or whatever, but I think
probably.
Thank you. I think to be quite general, I'd say like Dribble's a really, really good one.
Yeah.
Pinterest, I'm gonna be honest, I rate it. I think it's really good.
I used to use Pinterest at uni.
Yeah, Instagram. I look at. I honestly cannot tell you the name of anyone who I follow because I can't remember. But I do follow a lot of illustrators on Instagram just because it's really cool and you get lots of different styles. And that is something I do before I do an illustration. I do have my own style, but sometimes I want to mix it up, and I feel like that's how you learn illustration better. Or just when I did art, I'd always look at different artists like Egon Schiele or Oscar Schlemmer or whoever, and I feel like doing stuff like that, just kind of not copying other people's work, but trying to learn how they did it and understand and things. That's probably my recommendation. I don't have anything really specific though.
Films, their vlogs, I just like the way they shoot. They're quite well done because they're all film students. They're about my age, so I get a lot of their references when I talk about things, and I like the style and that kind of stuff.
I feel like a lot of time people are like, you need to have your inspiration patterns or whatever.
Yeah. And
it's like, but what if I don't? Like, I kind of just go with what my brain's telling me to do, or go with the flow, whatever I'm feeling.
Gotta trust your
gut. That's always different. So I think it's okay to not feel the pressure of how do you get inspired. I think it's okay, like just do what you have to do to get inspired, people.
Exactly. I think that's a good deep dive into our kind of creative thoughts, how to deal with creative block.
Yeah.
Any recommendations? And I think they've got to know us a little better.
A little bit more. Yeah, we're getting there.
So finally, it's the ever.
Can I do the drum roll now?
The ever great section.
Yeah.
But I've mixed it up.
Oh.
It's not quick fire questions. It is this real news, or have I just made it up? The game. So I've got 6 news headlines.
Okay.
There are some that are real, there are some that are fake. So I'm just going to give you the headline. I do have a synopsis.
Okay.
So I can tell you a bit more of the story.
Okay.
Headline number 1. First-time buyer vows to burn house down after creepy discovery.
What was creepy discovery?
I'll give you the second headline. Let's go through the headlines first.
Okay.
New driving lessons launched to help passengers be less annoying. Number 3. Man wakes up with shit in his garden. Number 4. Football club apologises after holding minutes silence for former player who is still alive.
So awkward. Did that actually? Oh no, I can't ask you if that actually happened, can I?
Number 5. Local council installs emotional support bus stop to combat commuter loneliness.
Okay.
And number 6. New nap pods for commuters spark debate over napping etiquette. Is there any you want to learn more about?
Napping etiquette. Sorry, there's napping etiquette. What if I'm doing napping wrong?
So, new public sleeping facilities that have been designed for tired commuters have led to unexpected discussions and disagreements about proper napping behaviour. From snoring to just occupying spaces too long. It's because they're plastic pods. I don't know if you've seen them. They've got them in Norway or Iceland, I think they are. They're these kind of micro hotels, I think.
Like little pods, like Japan has them. Or
Yeah,
like that,
Japan has them, and I think it's a bit like that concept. Is it Premier? They do those Premier in hubs or whatever they're called. I've seen them in London where they're kind of just a sleeping space more than anything. It's for commuters. Say you've got a 3-hour stop for your train
or you get on a flight
airports.
Or something.
I've had it where I've had to wait 2 hours at a station because of the trains, especially if one's delayed.
Yeah.
I would love to have a little space
pod.
to kind of crawl. Well, maybe not snore, but just kind of lay in, plug my laptop in, do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
quite
apparently
scary though. If that's an actual thing.
Apparently, it's kind of It's more that I guess that's kind of the flashy headline. It's more that are people in there too long? Are they being too loud? That kind of thing. Yeah. Leaving mess. Like if they're eating in there, they probably shouldn't.
Why would you hire a pod to eat in it? Like that's just that's
people be people.
That's annoying.
Any others you want to learn more about? You asked about the house.
Yeah, I did.
So a woman in the UK purchased her first home. She found a doll with a message scrawled on it, kind of hidden behind a loose floorboard in her bathroom.
Was it like the Annabelle doll, by any chance?
Wow.
Fair enough.
It's like a small little doll,
creepy.
just, I guess, a previous occupant hid it there for a joke.
Oh, okay.
Assuming no one would find it, but they were doing renovations, they'd stripped off plaster and stuff, and found loose brick and behind there was
a little freaky doll, and she's burnt her house down as a result.
Well,
maybe
she didn't
possessed,
actually burn the house down, but she was going to.
Oh, what stopped her?
Why?
Did she not have any matches? Or?
I'm assuming it's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
I found a doll. I don't need this like 300 grand house anymore.
Depends what doll it is, to be fair. So I don't know how many of them are real, do I?
You don't.
I think the football one's real.
You're gonna say the football one's real?
It's so crazy, but they're all literally insane.
You going for football one's real?
And the bench one, bus stop one.
Okay, so
because I feel like I've heard something like that before.
The football club that apologises was a Bulgarian football club.
Oh, get it right.
I'm gonna butcher this name. Arda Kardzali is the name of the club.
Yeah. Okay.
They mourned Petko Ganchev and held a minute's silence for the former player during a match, only to discover afterwards he was in fact still very much alive. And they had to issue a formal apology. This story was on multiple news outlets, including BBC.
No way.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
That's literally crazy. How do you... How?
Maybe someone with the same name passed or something and they just assumed. I don't know. It's quite funny.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You reckon the bench one?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you mean the bus stop?
Yeah, sorry.
The local council installs emotional support bus stops.
Yeah.
So a local Welsh council has taken a unique approach to combating loneliness by installing bus stops for people to gather and talk. A leading researcher noted that people were more likely to chat to travellers, which led to the initiative. That would have been very nice if I hadn't made that up.
Robin! That is so...
Yeah,
you got me all
that's not
happy.
true.
I can't believe you just did that.
I made that up.
I was just about to add, they do that in supermarkets sometimes. Anyway.
Sorry. Any others you don't think are real?
I think that all of the others are not real. Like
not
the house
real?
Yeah.
Okay.
The house one can't be real.
This is quite funny because the house one was widely reported by outlets including Devon Live.
Really?
It happened in Devonshire.
Of course it did. Really?
Driving lessons launched to help passengers be less annoying. A UK driving school introduced a specific course for passengers to learn how to be less distracting backseat driving, or generally irritating to the person at wheel. It covered topics like unsolicited advice and fiddling with the radio. That's true.
Really?
That was reported
Actually,
several sites, including Cambridgeshire Live and Essex Live.
I reckon that would be quite handy for some people in my life.
A man waking up with a ship in his garden. That's quite recent. That happened, I think,
was going to
last month.
say, what was his garden? Was it like a...
So he lived in Norway by the coast,
yeah.
and a boat had run up aground and ended up marooned in his garden just a few feet from his door. I saw the image. It's a massive, like,
It's a
cargo ship.
Proper ship.
Yeah, it wasn't that far away from destroying his house.
Oh my gosh,
So it could have been a
absolutely
very
mental.
different story.
Yeah.
And the nap pods.
Yeah. That's real. Sorry, I'll change my mind. That's real.
Nap pods real?
Yeah. They have
I made it up.
Oh,
They do have them.
They
That's
do
why
have
it
them.
sounded real.
yeah.
But as far as I'm aware, no one has ever debated public napping etiquette.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past.
You should have known,
But-
because I use words like etiquette.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I forgot your posh side came out all of
Channeled
a
my
sudden.
inner Downton Abbey.
Your inner Mr. Darcy.
So,
Thank
Yeah.
you for that. I'm slightly annoyed that I got some of those wrong, but
End
I'll get
result.
over it. I'll get over it.
don't trust what I say, I guess.
No, basically. Moral of the story.
I think that about wraps it up for today.
Yeah.
I think it's been a good one.
I think it has. I feel like we talked about a lot of different things, which has been interesting. I almost won a game.
Yep, we've talked about how your day's been. We've talked
My
about
coffee machine, which I'm really excited about.
coffee machines, creative block, napping etiquette,
Yeah.
all the important topics.
Yeah.
As ever, if you've got any questions for us, feel free to drop them on your channel of choice.
Yeah.
It could be a LinkedIn message, it could be a Teams message, it could be a carrier pigeon to the office,
Yeah.
whichever. As ever, ding the notification bell,
Boop, boop, boop.
like, subscribe.
Join our channel. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll
Thanks
see
for
you-
watching.
See you soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.